I mean, that's right. I mean, there's a lot of women today that don't you mean latency? The mic though from here, how it's just picking you up to. Is it better or something? Well, you can still hear me talking, right? And then when you hear yourself go, well, and all this noise might be fucking it up too.
With you,
Is the music not playing? It's playing.
with you,
No, I mean, if you want
with you,
we are live. We're doing this now.
with you, with you,
That's right. A lot of women today, they don't appreciate heft.
with you, with you, with you,
Hey, folks. Those of you out there joining us
with you, with you,
That's right. A lot of women today, they don't appreciate heft. That's right. A lot of women today, they don't appreciate heft. That's right. A lot of women today, they don't appreciate heft.
you are. With you I'm good. With you I'm with you I'm good. With you I'm
That's right. A lot of women today, they don't appreciate heft.
with you I'm good. With you I'm with you I'm good. With you I'm with you I'm good. With you I'm
That's right. A lot of women today, they don't appreciate heft.
with you I'm good. With you I'm
All right, welcome to another board Sunday session. So let's go. We're broadcasting from the Shop Studios in Jacksonville, Florida. That's right. You heard about them trying to copyright that.
Oh, word. I hadn't heard.
I don't know.
That's absurd.
It's craziness.
That's funny.
It's the capitalist
That's
paradigm
pride, though.
that we're in.
I fuck with it.
People out there, if you're joining on Facebook Live, I can't I can't tell if you are or not. But if you see there's a YouTube link in the description. Jump on YouTube so you can comment live.
Look at that face.
Right. You can comment live and join the conversation. Also, if you're a Facebook friend, or I don't think you have to be a Facebook friend, just message me on Facebook, and I'm pretty sure I can patch you in to the show. It's something that we're trying to mess with and get sort of a more interactive kind of show going on. So yeah, we got a podcast happening right now. I mean, so this is one of the millions of podcasts out there. I don't know if I should be drinking this while filming. I don't know if that's a podcast faux pas. I don't really care, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, podcast. So what's the whole point of it? I guess just to have a conversation. Part of it's that I think part of it for me is that I'm stuck in this garage working on these projects, building my art, I guess you could say, living in starving artist mode. But at times, I think about these sort of big social issues, and I can't help it. It's just something that, I don't know, I just do. And so a lot of times I feel stuck in my thought process because I don't really know what other people think, because I think that's important. I think it's important that, if you're trying to see, like, man, if you're looking at problems in society, you got to think about what should be considered a problem and what could or could not be considered solutions. I think a lot of that ties back to our values, to our philosophies. Those kind of words mean sort of, I think, different things in today's era, day and age. What do you think, TJ? Like how would you characterize the belief system or philosophy of the American people? By the way, we have producer TJ in the house.
Producer TJ in the box.
We don't have enough cameras for both TJ and I. So if you're on the YouTube channel, there is a link in the description on the YouTube channel. I got to make it more accessible. There's Patreon that you can support. If you like the show and you want to see producer TJ's face at some point, he can someday get an additional camera and make it so that his face is accessible. Yes, we can unlock that new I don't know, ability.
You gotta level up a little bit.
But yeah, what
RPG called life?
Yes, indeed. Yeah, the whole whether or not this life is in fact a
simulation. Right,
the whole simulation thing. Yeah. I mean, I think that's and that also ties into sort of like who are the solipsists? I think the P is silent. Solipsists, I believe. I believe, I mean, I could be wrong, so philosophers out there chime in, but basically they believe that everything that exists is of your mind, or so therefore of their mind. So whoever it is, I mean, it's sort of a strange way of thinking, because in essence, all of reality is based on my own, I'm creating that reality. So therefore you're creating your reality. I'm simply part of that reality, or something like that. And in a way you could, I mean, who's to say that it's not happening, that this all isn't to some degree a shared, what if we are like the Sims? You know what I mean? Because like they have to, if you think about it, those entities play by specific rules. I mean, it's a very simplified way of being, but I mean, in a way, we have programs that we have to live by, rules we have to live by, like the laws of physics. We got to live by that, whether we want to or not. It's sort of programmed within the landscape, But anyway, go. What were you saying? What were you saying? That's a different topic. We'll have a different show about that.
If this shit is a simulation and that's all the fuck we are, I got dealt the shorthand because why aren't I a Saiyan or something? You know?
Well, yeah,
all
I
this
mean,
is
but then
programs
again,
and codes.
in The Sims or whatever, any of these other simulations, there's always the same. It's the same. I mean, I think we mirror those simulations to mirror our own society. You know, it's art imitating life, I believe, right? So, who's to say that it's the same kind of thing here? That in fact, our lives are the art of the creator being who programmed this set of instructions for us to.
If I can see it, I should be able to achieve it. And I've seen it and I want it.
What do you mean, seeing? Seeing what? You
I've-
speaking metaphorically?
No, I'm talking about I watched Dragon Ball Z. I've seen Saiyans. I want to be a Saiyan.
That it exists in animation form? That it existed at all in imagination, then therefore it could exist in reality?
It's a
Do you feel?
documentary, man. It's a documentary.
The Dragon Ball documentary. Yeah. Well, I mean, so what would you say about the values? Like, what would you say in general the values of an American, like the American people? Like, do you think we could all agree on what those values are as people? If like people watching this commented, by the way, you should comment. If you're watching on Facebook, jump over to the YouTube so you can comment on the live chat. But you know, think about like, wait, what was the question?
Well,
The values thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, you know, anything for $1 right now. I think that's what we value the most.
Wow, anything for $1. How far do you think we are from people selling their children, if they could, without someone calling the cops on them?
Well, I mean, like people do it.
Yeah,
People
right.
try it.
In
now.
America, do you think people are selling their children right now?
I just heard the story. Like, if it wasn't today, it was yesterday.
Dang, really?
Yeah.
I mean, I saw pictures of.
It's crazy.
I saw pictures from the Depression and stuff with signs, with, you know, like kids out by the front door with signs saying, you know, they're for sale or whatever. I mean, but I feel like there's a message that flows through society that talks about basically not being that way. Isn't there some kind of duality, some kind of contradictory philosophy also floating around out there that says don't just think about money all the time? But at the end of the day, aren't we compelled? Is that what you're saying? Maybe expand on that. Let it out.
Like,
speak to the world, TJ. They want to hear your thoughts on what you've been thinking. Oh no, that might be copywritten.
it might be.
They want to know what's been triggering your thoughts, TJ. So yeah, like
I feel like
I mean, you're coming
I feel
from
a certain way
Baltimore,
about things.
right? You're coming from Baltimore.
Yes.
Is that shaping your mind as far as the general sentiment of people in America?
Nah, because I feel how I feel about home, and then I feel about how I feel about everywhere else. Like,
What does that mean? What do you mean by that?
like I have my feelings about my home and the people from there, so I guess they kind of get a pass.
I see.
But America, as I guess my big home, I can't excuse everybody. Everybody can't get a pass. I don't know. I just feel like nobody cares about human life anymore.
Wow.
Or like the conditions of what people have to go through. Like everything's so at the end of the day, the corporation heads are like profit driven. And as they should be, because you know, why else would you be doing it? But like I don't know, I just feel like people don't care. Like I honestly don't even feel like I'm like I could be from the same whatever the hell we evolved from, or whatever your creationist story tells you, or whatever. Like, I don't see how I'm one of them just because I'm not a psycho, a money-driven psycho.
So, are you saying that there's a philosophy that's out there that conflicts with your personal philosophies, that's driving things in a way?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I think that leads to. I mean, part of the premise of this whole show is to highlight all these contradictions that we live in. I mean, no wonder people are going crazy because we have all these. I mean, like, think about the contradiction of you're compelled to do as well as you can in the system, but at the same time, you don't want to lose yourself and your humanity and all these things in the system, which the system itself actually rewards loss of humanity to a large degree. I mean, because if you don't care about, safety or poisoning people or pollution or whatever it is, if you don't care about these sort of externalities and you don't have to pay for them, then if you are in a way psychopath, I guess, like what TJ is talking about, you would just go ahead and do it. I mean, I couldn't imagine that, but I've never made it to like CEO of coal mining company, so I don't have the right to talk about the decisions you'd make of whether or not you would poison the town's river or not. But is it okay to have a system that allows that to happen, though? That allows people that are able to make that decision to make that decision? I think those are questions we need to ask ourselves as a society. I mean, you know what I mean? Those are the things that I need to reach out to the world to ask and ask for these comment, like put your comment down, so just to help me not go crazy, because I'm going crazy wondering, like, what do we want? Do we like this? Do we good with it?
We're supposed to be a democracy, and that's what we're allegedly modeled as, right?
Well, someone's gonna jump in and say, no, it's a representative republic.
All right. Well, my history books taught me.
Well, I mean, it's supposed to be a decent blend of the. I mean, I guess the theory, I guess, man, I wish I really paid more attention to Aristotle and Plato and stuff. But there's a somewhere in there, and people that are watching chime in. Maybe you can guide this discussion. But there's some dangers to democracy. I mean, we're sort of seeing it now in a way.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a group of people that have a separate reality from what I objectively see when I objectively look. And now they always accuse me of being whatever these people that believe this. Generally, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, but they don't really. I don't know. They don't see the world in the same way. It's just weird. It's weird. I don't know. But I mean, leads me to believe that there's something, a fissure developing, because there's got to be the same kind of situation that happened when people decided to desegregate. They're like, hey, we shouldn't do this anymore. And there's a big chunk of people out there that grew up like, no, this isn't, you separate things. You don't join you don't join races together. That's just not right. And that's how they grew up. And, you got to really think about whether or not, when the government changes a law or changes a rule, does that really change the way you raise your kids? Does that change the way you see the world? You know what I mean? And how much of that still lingers around, this festering stench of that lingering around? A lot of people want to deny it, though. And I think that becomes a problem, a lot of that denial. There's, again, another contradiction. I mean, there's just contradictions all around, all the time.
all the time.
And I swear that's why people are going nuts. And the other thing is we just don't know. I mean, do we really know what? I mean, what do we even really know about anything?
Like we know what we know, but we don't even know what we know.
How do you even know it? You'd almost have to go and do the research projects yourself again at this point, because so much stuff has been tainted with money.
Yes.
You got to ask who funded this, or it was a college. Okay, well, who funded that college, or gave the grant, or whatever crap. You know what I mean? And now things that are supposed to be known become suspect. And then it becomes hard to even talk about what the world, like the supposedly shared reality that we have. So how are you supposed to run a society when we can't even agree on what's real or not?
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, that's why I have the podcast, because I'm hoping people will jump in and chime in and talk about it, because I think a lot of us are just sort of complacent and have just been rolling along, and it's easy. It's easy to just watch the news and just soak it in and argue about what you heard about this thing, and then you have and it's almost like there's these crafted opinions too that float around that are really binary. I mean, the world's complex, but for some reason, everything gets distilled into two boxes of something, and it screws it up. But anyway, I think that leads back to the values. If you were to ask Americans what are the values of Americans, I bet the first go-to in a lot of people, because their identity is so wrapped up into it, is what sounds like my political belief, so I don't sound like this other person, so they don't confuse me for this other. I think that's a big driver. It's just that I don't want to be the other person. Like whoever it is has a caricature in their mind of an extreme version of this belief, a person who espouses a belief, either liberal or conservative or Democrat or Republican or whatever binary thing, and they're, as much as they want to stomp their feet and say who they are, I think there's an equal and opposite drive of who they aren't. And I think that's becoming something where people don't even see reality anymore, because they have to protect that, because their identity's so tightly wound into that. But there's a lot of people that aren't even into politics, whose identities aren't wound into that at all, who probably aren't even paying attention. And then eventually, there's that saying, I don't remember who said it, but it was basically if it doesn't matter if you care about politics. Politics cares about you, so you can ignore it all you want, and then eventually you lost all your labor rights, or next thing you know, you can't have an abortion without going to jail, or next thing you know, something, I don't know, something. And so you don't have to pay attention, but then don't be surprised. Well, you can be surprised all you want, just you can't complain when the noose gets tightened around your neck. Because think about this, a lot of people are afraid of a lot of things, but I think there's a group of people out there that are especially afraid of what the government could do, right? There's another group of people who are especially afraid of what corporations could do, and the power that they could wield. There's a group of people that are afraid of what mass accumulations of capital can do. Meaning, like, if you are the richest person in the entire earth, do you think you could influence things one way or another?
I'm pretty sure.
Do you think you could silence somebody if you wanted to?
Pretty sure I could.
If you're the richest person, I mean, because I think there's numbers out there in wealth and in power that are beyond the imagination of normal people. Like, I can't fathom it. And it's not Illuminati. I'm just saying that the disparity. I mean, sure, you can call it what you want. Is it? You got. Let's put the question out there. Fundamentally, do you believe that the richest person in the entire earth, and you have to also think, are the published reports accurate? Do you think the richest people in the earth in the world would publish it? If they didn't want it to be published, don't you think they could make it so you're the richest person or family or whoever in the world? So, it could be Jeff Bezos on the cover of Time or something, but at the whole time it's some other group of people that just don't want people to know because it's just better this way. I don't know. I think people don't realize. I really believe that there's a certain echelon of power that people can reach where they believe that since they've accumulated the power or reached that level, they've powered up, they leveled up so high that when they view the world, it's not the same way that we view the world as people who are of the world. They become detached from the world, I believe. And there's justifications in their mind to say, well, the nation needs this strategic asset, or, the nation needs this, which could mean their buddy wants to make a whole bunch of money and we want to get this other thing too. So, let's go ahead and start a war or whatever, because we have, what else is going on? We need to mobilize our people anyway. And we've sold off all of our industry to the rest of the world for cheaper rates because we don't want, because American workers demand safety, worker, rights, no child labor. And they said, you know what? Yeah, but, we could take this all to Bangladesh. We can take this all to China and take this all away. And so we export out all of that. We've been doing it for years. And then now we're sort of standing here. I don't know. It reminds me of there's an old Roots song. Dang it, what album is that on? It's a poem that a lady's reciting. It's actually about a gangbang. And I feel like that's a pretty good metaphor for what's been going on with our country to some degree. I don't know who's who, but I feel like to a large degree we're the lady getting gangbanged. And then, but at the end of the day, there's a row of limp dicks standing in the room, and I think there's a time when the people of the world, and it's going to sound sort of Marxist or something, but like the people, the workers, the people who are putting this world together for the people who believe they're the architects of the world, will realize what's happening, that there's a scam being run, and it's been run through history, and the people get they claw back small chunks of decency from these crazy people that end up ascending to power, and then go study history. It's all through history, and now we're in a new era, a new time. I think it's scary that TJ and I are having such a hard time really coming up with what the value system is for Americans. Is it anything for the dollar? That's how we act.
Or is everything in honor of the flag?
I don't know, man.
These colors don't run. But
That's a whole other thing too. I mean, there's a whole ethos about this.
America.
This, I don't know, it's like a fetishism with military and power, like the military and the police. But a lot of these same people are anti-government, except for the authoritarian, actual, like, armed wing of the government. What could drive such contradiction? Makes me wonder. And I know I have a theory in my mind. This would be controversial and people get pissed off, but I have a theory as to why. Because this is it's a glaring, huge contradiction. It doesn't make any sense where you have swaths of people who are very anti-government in the way of government power over the individual, and they are super supportive of military and police. So why are they so supportive of government entities that can create violence and submission from other people? Maybe someone out there who is like that can answer us. I say us because I'm sure TJ feels the same way. Do you feel the same way, TJ?
I do.
Okay, see, so us and other people watching eventually. Hopefully, I don't really. If you are on Facebook Live, I would jump over to YouTube. You could jump onto the live stream, and so you can jump. Join the conversation and talk about what it is. Now, if you're watching this on the archive, still comment, because I'd like to go back and figure out how we can sort of springboard off of some direction, because I think we're at a turning point. We have to figure out, do we want to have a society that works cooperatively, or are we going to be a society that competes against each other and allows, I don't know, people to die in the streets and whatever? I don't know. I heard you can't really die in the street around here. That if you're about to die in the street, that there's a rescue mission in Jacksonville. But what if you didn't know about it or something, or you couldn't walk that far? Or I don't know. Maybe there's any Jacksonville people. Is there anybody on Facebook? If you're watching on Facebook, you should click the link and watch on YouTube so you can comment and join the conversation. Tell us what you think about the questions we've been asking with the sort of shotguns. I mean, they're sort of related things, but there's a lot of questions out there that we've got. What do you think? What do you think the end game, or the end result's going to be in a few years from now? TJ, what do you think is going to happen as far as the culture of American society?
I don't think it's going to sway over to the way I think anytime soon.
Well, what do you think?
Like,
what do you mean way you think?
I feel like we need to work in a, just kind of like you were saying, a co-op versus like a competitive standpoint. I feel like we need to get on the cooperative side and figure out how to coexist with each other and just, make this little time on this big rock called Earth a little less hellish.
Well, does it bother you that there's a group of people out there that would probably hear what you're saying and think that it would think that they would just not even jive with that philosophy? Like they have a negative feeling hearing the words that you just said.
Of course it bothers me. I mean, wouldn't you be bothered if you're right and people are trying to argue with you?
Yeah, I mean,
just think about it that way.
Well,
yes,
and-
I'm saying that I'm right. Like that's the way that we should fucking live. That's the way that it needs to be. I'm right.
But you know, there's a whole group of people out there that really just don't believe in that.
They're wrong.
I just don't. Well, I don't
And
really
that's okay-
get.
and I'm
I don't
okay with
understand
that.
them. Well, I sort of understand them a little bit, but I mean, you'd have to be just very selfish, or maybe you're afraid of other people. I think a lot of them are afraid of being taken advantage of, and so they don't want to help. Like they think people will feign for help. But you know what I think is sort of crazy is that what drives them? No, they just like throw their hands up and get all the free shit. If it's really that you could do that, what drives them? You know, what makes them think that other people are so different than them? Don't they think other people want to be better off than barely surviving off the handouts from social programs?
I can't put my mind in, the head of somebody who thinks that way. I can't put myself in that kind of train of thought.
Yeah,
and
I
I'm
mean-
not a saint. Don't like think I'm like some self-righteous bastard over here or some shit like that. Like I'm not. I'm a son of a bitch. And that's just a phrase. But like I just come on, like get with the program already. Why we gotta keep fighting? What's the point in that? We've been fighting for how many years? Like a lot.
What do you think could unify people? Do you think anything could? There's a lot
No.
of trying to divide people. Do you think there's an active, like something active out there trying to divide people?
The devil.
Like the devil. The devil. What do you guys think? Put a comment down, and for all of this stuff, I mean, without you sort of guiding the conversation, it just becomes these questions that mean nothing. I think, again, we really need to decide as a society where it is, what it is we're trying to do. What are we trying to accomplish? What's our vision? And in fact, you hear people like Jordan Peterson or a couple, I don't know, there's people out there that really sort of fight against this idea of trying to plan how society will be. And I don't think that there's anything wrong. I mean, not with doing a total government planning of society. I'm not talking about that, but why not have a shared vision for the future? Shouldn't we have that? I mean, if you look at all of these self-help books and how do you accomplish this or that, they always have the advice of writing it down, or let me see, like writing it down or putting a vision in, or drawing it out, or sketching it, or doing something, or outlining what it is your vision is in order to accomplish it. But yet, are we doing that as a society? And can we even agree to that? And then that makes me a little bit afraid, because think about what society must have been when we were deciding, are we going to have slaves or not? There was a current overarching premise that allowed that condition. How do you break that kind of culture? And how do you change the minds of people? What drives that? What drives the movement? It's people, of course, in the movement. If you look at the abolitionists and look at the history of it. But there's also some. I mean, there's also some ulterior motives, I think, too. Even Adam Smith talks about in Wealth of Nations. He talks about the costs of slavery and the actual benefits of allowing for a labor versus capital situation, because one thing that he mentions in that capitalists always forget to mention is that because of the capitalists' power, because of their influence over the political class, but then also because of time. Because what's the classic equation? Time is money. So if you have money, then that means you have time. So what do peasants not have? What do you not have? When rent is due, what do you not have? When your kids are hungry, what do you not have? If you don't have money, then you don't have time either. You see what I mean? So when you have a major corporation or a major employing entity that is able to make the demands on a society or sway it or anything like that, those are the roots of capital. Manipulating things, and that's where people, I think, mix up the free market versus what capitalism really is. That when you hear people critiquing capitalism, it's less about whether or not less about whether or not we have a competitive market. Of course, we should have a competitive market. It's just when the market starts to dictate living conditions. If a company can not open the factory until they get the tax breaks they want, or they don't want to open a factory till they get the wages that they want, that becomes a problem. That's where capitalism becomes this pervasive sort of virus that then starts to infect society. And I think that's something that we've been taught not to talk about, and not in any real sense. Because if you critique capitalism, then you must be a communist.
Commie.
But I think that's just silly. We got to be adults. We just got to be adults about it. So it's like the analogy. I don't think I've used it on the show before, but like, if you're like a little kid and your dad's the head of the mafia. Okay, I don't know any mafia people, so it's not about being accurate about the mafia. But just follow me. You're a little kid, and you find out your dad, or whether you find out. Let's say you're 2, so whether you don't care what your dad does. And let's say your dad has the local bodega owner off because, or maybe one of his kids, because he don't want to pay protection money. I don't know. I'm making it up as I go, right? So either way, there's a conflict there. The 2-year-old son of the mafia boss probably doesn't care about these machinations that happen as a result of, the mafia dealings. But as the kid grows up, when he's 32 and finds out that the bodega owner was off because his pops, ordered it, or is continuing to do these things, surely this son of the mafia boss is reflecting on whether or not he agrees morally with doing these types of things, and if he's like got any kind of moral sense, he's probably like, yo, let's don't do this. Let's go take this money and make a clean slate and make a real business or something, right? That would be a good moral stance, an adult way of looking at it. Like, hey, I love my pops. He's done bad things. Let's not continue them. We learned from the past. Okay, we can't change the past. I can't bring the bodega owner back to life, but we can stop killing people, And I feel like we aren't even willing to have that conversation as a country, to look at what we've done, to look at where we've been, and say, okay, look, boom, let's make it right. Let's figure out, how do we do it? What do we do? I could tell you what we could do, but that's a whole other episode. That might be a whole other channel, the New Nation channel, because I feel like there's a lot. Of course, I would need help, but I do have this crazy vision, and it's not that crazy. That's the craziest part. It's just a tiny bit crazy, a little bit crazy. The capitalists are gonna hate it. They can suck it. They can fuck off.
Yeah.
The capitalists can fuck off. Heads should roll, by the way, if they don't want to fuck off. If they don't, Let's be the warning to the
Off
capitalists.
with his head.
Someone should Tyler Durden this shit, not me, because I am not clever enough to be Tyler Durden, or any of the attributes Tyler Durden has. But somebody out there, please, where's our Tyler Durden? Somebody out there, lead the army of the laborers to to let the capitalists know. Somebody, please, out there. And if you're not out there yet, let these words sink in. If you don't know who Tyler Durden is, go watch Fight Club. And there's something in that movie that's extra pertinent now, to some degree. I mean, you're gonna have to sift through it, but we're definitely in a age of contradiction that if we don't start really paying attention to it, we're gonna get in big trouble as a species. I think.
But if we can jump on this co-op train, we'll be all
right.
If we were to spread the love, and everyone wants to give Kanye a whole bunch of shit right now, but at least he all about love. It may be fake, but damn it feel good.
Kanye's about love? Is that what he's saying now?
Yeah.
Or maybe always?
That really, really long rant is what I'll call it on TMZ. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, about the slave choice thing.
Yeah, he's all about love. But McLouis V says, keep doing your thing, bro. I can see you finding your groove. Well,
yeah.
But
yeah,
groove,
thanks, Louis, for checking out the show.
Going with that.
And we had a couple people jump on, which is good. I mean, it's a start. I mean,
I'm just saying, we need more people like that. Like,
if some of this stuff resonates with you, please, like it, share it, all those things. You guys know social media more than me. Look at these gray hairs. Though I am an ex-millennial, so I grew up with the internet. I know how to use it. But either way, I mean, you guys out there are sophisticated. I've sort of let go of trying to be sophisticated with a lot of the new stuff. I mean, is that a condition of being old, you think? I think a lot of people are sort of feeling that way about certain things.
I'm interested in a lot of the new shit.
Everybody, I think people have their own, but people have their own flavors of things that they're getting into in depth. You know what I mean? Maybe, I don't know, do you just like everything brand new? Do you keep tabs on technologies across all sort of, or not all, but like most sectors and stuff?
Not at all.
I just,
ask me about the new Batman thing, and I probably got you. So, yeah.
Batman?
I'm into what I'm into.
Man, I just lost my train of thought. But yeah, man. Contradictions. So many contradictions. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's a crazy world. Crazy world. I wanted to, what were you saying? I mean, just before we were, anyway, I don't know. So TJ, what were we talking about before? You said something about tariffs, I think before the show.
Yeah, I did.
That it had been on your mind. I guess it was something. Did you read something about tariffs or something?
More or less, kind of.
Yeah, I mean it's been in the news for sure.
And then it just made me think about some more things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the tariff thing is like, I don't know. I mean, it's all the global stuff. What would be great is if we could use tariffs to do stuff like make sure people aren't, working in unsafe conditions, that we sort of level the playing field across the board for workers' rights. I mean, the factories can't run without the workers. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes.
It's I don't know, but the workers they'll never see themselves as allies for some reason, because we've got a philosophy of competitiveness that's taken over. So everyone's out to get each other. You know, no one's really willing to sacrifice, I think, either. You know, would someone be willing to go on strike for sacrifice their job potentially?
Probably.
Because there's, I mean, how many scabs would just jump on and get the job because they want some money? You know, and they'll just deal with it, and the labor conditions will continue to deteriorate because someone desperate enough will go ahead and do it. You know, that's the thing that, I mean, that's the struggle of capital. I mean, that's why if you can at least look at your father and say, dude, I'm being a little critical of you killing people in the neighborhood. That's what we need to do with capitalism. That's what we need to do with our nation. The fact that we can't even, have a conversation about what needs to be done as people. What do you think, DJ?
You can't have a conversation. Absolutely not. Everybody gets so butthurt as soon as you don't agree with them.
Yeah.
And then, we're calling each other names and at each other's throats. We were just having a conversation.
Did you
so soft.
Did you hear about that thing in Dallas? I think I was talking to you about that thing in Dallas that happened, where that dude saw the kids with the "Make America Great," the MAGA hat.
Oh yeah.
He threw the drink at the kid and stuff. I mean, it's going around. Right wings sites and stuff are making it go viral for sure. I did see one article that had supposedly had witness statement saying one of the waiters or not a waiter, but like staff. I don't think, does Whataburger have waiters? I don't think. Do they have waiters at Whataburger?
I'm
Man, I haven't been to
like
a Whataburger.
Server/cashier.
Is that? I don't know. Anyway, one of those folks that work at Whataburger. I know they got people working there. It's not like fully automated yet. It's coming.
No,
it's coming. That's just that's the paradox of capitalism. That's bound to happen. What was I gonna say? Dang it. What was it? Whataburger. Anyway, they said that these kids were saying all sorts of racist stuff. Like, the most abhorrent racist thing that I heard was that they said that white people should be able to kill one non-white each on July 4th, and that something about Trump. But I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's fake. Maybe they didn't. I don't know if the statements are real. That's the thing. How do you know what's real anymore? Even with video, it only starts at a certain place. I don't know if it was edited. Where's the before stuff? I don't know. Was there a racist rant prior? Even if there was a racist rant, should someone throw a drink at someone else? Would you throw a drink at someone if they were having a racist rant publicly in a Whataburger, TJ?
I've been known to have a temper sometimes. I can't.
So you maybe would do something like that?
There's a chance. I mean, I'd like to think that I wouldn't, but I'm a human. I have emotions and feelings, and sometimes they get hurt.
I'll get the best of you, maybe. So anyway, so that's been going around, and people are getting all up in arms, and I've seen comments, and I don't know how real people are when they're making comments, but I see comments like, "Oh, let me see someone do that, and they'll be choked out," or "I got a second, I'll show them my Second Amendment rights," and or something, I don't know, along those lines. And I'm like, oh God, because if someone throws a drink, but I had to jump. I was bad. I said to TJ that I started this podcast so that I could wean myself off of being stupid on Facebook, but I ended up trolling the post. There's all these right wingers, I guess right wing, whoever you want to call it. I don't know. Trump fans, maybe. Are they? I don't even know what's right and left or whatever. It just doesn't make sense anymore. Those guys, they were talking about choking people out or killing somebody or doing this or that or exercising some kind of they were gonna do violent stuff. And so I get on there and I'm like, I don't know how much I really believe this, but I'm like, you know what? I hope it's just the beginning. I hope if you're wearing a MAGA hat now in this day and age, and I sort of believe this actually, if you're an active supporter and you're publicly supporting this president, I don't believe you should be. I don't think you deserve to be an American. I think people that are trying to pass the immigration test will know more about the Constitution and actually being an American than the people that are actively supporting Trump right now. I know those are fighting words to a lot of people, but I think there's a lot of truth in that because you could always change. You could change. But they don't want to. Because they think if they don't support Trump, then they're going to turn into a libtard or a gay or a black. Or I don't know, or if they're already black, then they're going to turn into, I don't know, Jesse Jackson.
Oh, no.
Oh, Al Sharpton. Now if I become a non-Trump supporter and black, then I must be, I don't know, one of those guys that I don't like over there. I don't know. There's a theory out there that some of these guys like that or ladies too, like Candace Owens and some of these sort of like conservative, some minorities on the conservative side are actors. Is saying that equivalent to some degree of as saying that like crisis actors exist in a tragedy? Do you think crisis actors are real?
Yep.
Yeah. Do you think some of these national tragedies are staged?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Who's staging them? FBI kind of stuff?
They.
Who's they?
Okay, you said FBI, so you already know it's G14 classified.
But it's government. Do you think the government's instigating it?
Of course.
To create dissent and problems with people?
Uh-huh.
Do you think Louis V meant when he put the comment down that I was finding my groove, or do you think he means grove?
I think Louis V meant grove. I think he wrote exactly what he meant.
Yeah, I mean that's a really good metaphor. To find the grove, like that is the fruit, and I found it. Is that what you think he meant?
That's exactly what he meant.
Yeah. Yes, olive grove. What fruit would it be? It's hard to think of olives as fruits. I mean, botanically speaking, they're fruit. So are like pumpkins and tomatoes.
All I know is olives belong either on a branch or in a garden. What I'm saying is,
right, right.
And I'm eating that olive branch.
I think the marijuana branch should replace the olive branch as a branch of peace.
I'm on board with that.
I think so. I mean, I guess you could share some bread over olive oil. Like, I don't know. Whatever the story is for olives, the true peace bringer would be marijuana. Weed. I mean, it's just a communal plant, I think. It just brings people together.
Yes.
Maybe that's why they want to keep it illegal. I don't know. There's so many reasons. It's a complex world, so you can't just like distill it down into something like super simple.
I bet if everybody smoked weed, it'd be really simple.
If everyone's like, yeah, but I mean, what's fighting that? We know that. I mean, I think the people that are trying to stop it know that.
Of course they know it.
That's why they're trying to stop it. So that, I mean, I'm saying though, that's well, be it the pharmaceutical people, be it the prison industrial complex people, be it the police industrial complex people, be it anybody, the drug test people, the drug lawyer people. I mean, there's whole industries around this idea that you're not allowed to have something in your own body.
That's true.
I'm one thing I do agree with Ron Paul. He said go ahead and legalize all drugs. Let's legalize them all. And people say, oh, what about heroin? What about meth? And he brought up such a good point. I think it was like one of these Republican debates, whenever it was, 2012 or 8 or something. I don't know what it was. I can't remember. 8. It was a while back. And he said, okay, show of hands, when he was pressed about the issue, they were making fun of him for saying they should legalize all drugs. And he said, by show of hands, all these people in the audience, by show of hands, how many people out there, if they made heroin legal right now, how many people would go get some heroin right now? Raise your hand. Nobody raised their hand. So what's the point of the law? If you're going to go get heroin, you're going to go get heroin whether it's a freaking law or not. I mean, and that's where the gun people are like, well, you can't outlaw guns because then only the criminals will get guns. And like, nah. It's exhausting.
I'm just saying, it's a good thing Batman exists.
Yes. He needs to hurry up and save more of Gotham's around.
He does need to save more Gothams, but
all the Gothams.
He's only one man, and he's doing what he can do. That I can assure you. And again, just like I told you the other day, imagine how much more shit there would be if he wasn't here.
Yeah. I wish we could do something a little bit more sure than whether or not Batman shows up. It's got to be, because it's sort of like a little too much. I don't know. We need an army of Batman.
We do need an army of Batmans.
All these billionaires out there, none of them decided to be Batman.
If you ask me, that's a waste. Shout out to the one man that did, though.
Oh, yeah. I don't know that I could go through if I was going to try, I was just thinking, like, what if I had this, like, excessive amount of money? Would that be something I would even want to pursue? And then I'm thinking about the conditioning. You'd have to do a lot of work now, I think, to be Batman, even with all the technology.
Well, I mean, he had an early starter.
Yeah. I'm sort of old to be jumping. Yeah, I'm like 40. Like, hey, you want to be Batman? You got all this extra money. Like, nah.
No, you be Alfred.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll design some.
Or the Lucius Fox.
Yeah, I'll design the equipment and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That sounds actually pretty fun. Like, here, I made this for you. Go figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, go do it. I don't want to do it. I don't know. Well, one of you guys go out there and become a billionaire. Go save the world. Don't destroy it. They're like the other billionaires.
Save the cheerleader. Save the world.
I wish J.K. Rowling or whatever would, instead of like giving to these charities that are probably squandering her money, I wish she would like fund like the resistance, the rebellion against the empire. What does that even mean? I don't know. You have
May the force be with you.
You got to tune into future episodes to figure out what that means. But really, there is, I think, one illustrative statement that was made was by Joe Rogan. He said something along the line. I'm going to mess up the quote, but He basically compared humanity to a fungus on a piece of bread.
Go on.
And eventually the fungus, overcomes the piece of bread, and eventually just the bread is broken down into nothing. And I don't remember what he said, but anyway, it's like a fungus going across the whole bread, and eventually it just destroys its own environment. And I can't help but agree with him. And I wonder if collectively, can we be smarter than fungus? And I don't think we can. I just don't see it. I think greed and self-interest, just as the fungus. Because what drives the fungus to completely devour the bread? It's self-interest of each fungal spore that happens to be released, or not released, but that takes root in that piece of bread. It's every hyphae that moves through the media of the bread that is devouring it, that eventually, at least you see where the analogy sort of breaks down, and where I really hope this isn't the plan, is like when the fungus eventually does overrun the bread, the spores are released from the fungus to go find new bread. And I don't know, should our philosophy be, because I feel like there's some people out there that really do believe that the earth is to be used as a fungus would use the bread, destroy the earth, and then leave to find new bread.
Destroy us all.
I think there's a philosophy out there for that. I think there's actually people that believe that the world is for full extraction. Therefore, we should extract. If I don't extract, then someone else will. And they're just going to keep doing it like the fungus, extracting from the bread until the bread is gone, and until the fungus can no longer live on the bread. That is our fate. I think we're no smarter than fungus.
Damn it. We tried.
Nah, we didn't even try.
We invented the wheel. We tried.
They just helped us spread the fungus around.
We tried.
No, we are the fungus. What do you mean we tried? We didn't try not to. We weren't like, we need a penicillin that will.
That was the
deter,
internet, and then we fucked that up.
That's a penicillin that will deter this irreverent consumption.
That's why the alien overlords gave us the internet, and we use it for porn and cat videos. The internet was supposed to be the penicillin, and we fucked it up. We did try, but we fucked up. We failed. We failed. We're a hardcore C.
Well,
hardcore. Because it could be a lot worse.
I guess.
Again, we did invent the wheel.
That just helps us spread out the fungus of humanity.
Now we can drift cars with it. So take the good with it.
Yeah, drifting is cool. Oh man, I was just thinking something. I don't know. I don't know, man. It's a madness. But I think we can come up with some ways to mitigate some of this madness that's going on. It might not let some people make as much money. Do we care as a society that certain people aren't going to make as much money off of us? Do we?
I prefer it if they didn't.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
Ultimately, I don't care.
I think we can talk about it in upcoming episodes. I'm not talking about like putting together a communist utopia, but there are some changes. I think we can make some little structural changes in how we interact with each other, as far as labor relations, as far as capital, as far as politics. There are things we could do to make things work. Whether or not the status quo will allow it is another question, because there's going to be a point where what we start talking about here is going to be a threat to what is happening around us. I think it's going to be exciting, but it's also going to be sort of scary.
Truth Bill.
So I don't know. But I guess maybe the scariness and excitement will lure you back and possibly to support the effort. So Patreon, PayPal, any of those, any way you can, share, like, I don't know how this, whatever, do something. But as you do it, remember the whole point is it isn't about just expanding. It's just about getting the message out there to try to expand the conversation, because I think we really need to talk about some of this stuff. We need to realize that we got some mafioso stuff going on, and we're adults, and we need to sit down and have a chat.
We gotta do something
have
before the bodega owner gets his head shot off again.
There's
How
already
many bodega owners do we have?
How many? I mean, not everyone can pay protection money in this economy. You know what I'm saying? So,
I mean, like, come on. Aren't you tired of putting on that suit going to the funeral for the bodega owner because he's dead again? It's like Kenny from South Park. He just keeps fucking dying. I'm sick of it. Like,
I mean, there's a point where you say, "Pops, yo, you got to stop killing people."
Can you just not kill him this time, please, Dad?
And you can still love your dad, even though he's killing people in the neighborhood. But you'd want them to stop, right?
Like that. My friends are asking questions. You're embarrassing me.
I don't think. Could you stop killing them and their parents?
Like, my friends really bugged out that was his uncle. You didn't have to.
Too much to ask.
Like, just stop. Stop.
All right. So this has been a Boyd Sunday session. I don't want to go too long on Sunday session. If you are interested in being on the Boyd, please get in touch. You can comment. You can PM. See me on Facebook, YouTube, any of these things. Let me know. You can do it in the studio or also through Facebook. And also, we'll figure out a way. Just get in touch. We'll figure out how to get you connected, and you'll be on the show.
Yeah, come hang out.
And especially if I heard there's some people out there want to have a debate or something. I want to have a discussion. I don't know.
Like verbal fisticuffs? You want to engage? What?
Let's get deep. Let's have a deep discussion. I don't want to. It's not about who wins. I just want to talk. Let's just talk it out. And get deep, though. I want to get your minds mushing around.
Yeah, mind.
And sometimes I wonder, are people lazy and they don't want to think, or do people really secretly want to think and use their brain because they are smart?
Let's see who's really,
I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you want to use your brain because you're smart, or do you like not using your brain because you're lazy and it feels good to be lazy?
Calling out the trolls right now.
I don't know. I mean, there's a little bit of both. Sometimes I'm lazy. I don't want to do stuff. And I don't want to think about something deep. I don't want to do math problems or think about some crazy conundrum.
Yeah.
But there's some times when I'm like, you know what? I really got to think about this. And it's fun to think about something. So hopefully something we've talked about tonight is fun for you to think about. Put a comment down. I'd love to discuss what your commentary is in the next upcoming shows. And yeah, I think we'll have a lot of fun. All right. Signing out. Producer TJ. Thank you for running such an awesome show. Anything, any closing remarks?
Well, we already discussed what y'all have to do for the shout out to the people who already know who I am, though.
That's right.
We're gonna keep it a secret. Y'all gotta earn it.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Play a bomb that's less than Cupid. Play a bomb that's less than Cupid. Play a bomb, play a bomb that's play a bomb that's less than Cupid. Play a bomb that's less than Cupid. Play a bomb that's less than Cupid. Less than Cupid.